Hey everybody, I'm Rob Desir. This is Aprille Trupiano, and we're learning a whole lot about squash today. Yeah, we got a great show for you today. Can't wait to tell you all about it because you guys get to watch it. So I don't have to tell you all about it because April's about to tell you all about it, aren't you, Aprille?
You are not right.
I am right. Squash, we got all kinds of squash.
He's all excited about the squash. Squash, this
Roasted
is actually going to be really yummy. All right, so we do have a great show coming up for you today. We have guest Reverend Richard Jackson from Manasseh.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Reverend Richard Jackson from Manasseh Ministry is going to talk to us today. And we also have Heidi Burkemper, who is an expert in network marketing. And then we also have Mike Gualdoni, who is a local St. Louis filmmaker. Yeah. And he's done a really incredible documentary. We can't wait to tell you about that. And of course, we have our guests in the kitchen.
Squash, yes. Adelines Kitchen. Terri Roberts is here to have us taste all this squash. Well, not all of it, but little samples, right?
Some of it, yes. Yeah. Our spaghetti squash.
Spaghetti squash. Now, how do you do that?
I cheat and I roast it. I just poke some holes in the squash and I put it in the oven and just let it bake until it's done because I don't like cutting raw squash. And then I'll show you how I'll turn it into spaghetti.
Ooh, see, look, she's teasing us.
She's teasing.
She's not going to give us everything right away.
You know, as a kid, I always thought squash wasn't very good, but you're here to tell us that we're actually going to love squash. I like squash now because I'm older, but you know,
I love squash.
You can get kids actually like this.
I wouldn't tell them that it's not pasta. I just put a lot of cheese on it and give it to them.
See, that's what you gotta do. You gotta fool these kids nowadays. You gotta fool them. All right, we're gonna try the squash later on in the show, so stay with us because St. Louis Presents starts right now.
Welcome back to St. Louis Presents. We are so excited to see you guys because it feels like it's been forever.
It does.
It's only been a week, but it feels like forever.
You were jamming just a second ago.
I was.
If only people could see how you were jamming.
I know. Well, because the beginning, our intro kind of reminds me of that remix, that Elvis remix.
Of what?
Oh, yeah. The Elvis remix. I'm an Elvis freak.
Elvis, so. Which Elvis song? She's his fan, but she can't think of the song.
because I can't think of the name. It's like it just escaped me. But anyway.
I put you on the spot there.
It's hot.
Sorry.
I'll think of it later. I'm sure I will.
It's all good. So you've been good the last couple of weeks?
I have been. I've been enjoying this fall weather. It's been absolutely gorgeous. I mean, we've had a beautiful fall.
Oh yeah.
More like an Indian summer, yeah. Even got to the pumpkin patch. We took my niece and my nephew to the pumpkin patch, and I have to say it was my first trip to the pumpkin patch. So, you know, there's a few photos. I'm there.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, with my honey, with my niece and my nephew.
You were goons and goblins and everything.
Yeah, because we were getting ready. We took them through the little haunted house that was there.
They weren't scared?
No, they absolutely loved it. They were laughing at
through the haunted house?
They really were.
Usually that would kind of like, you know, scare kids and
I know.
They never want to go through that experience again.
No.
But they actually enjoyed the haunted house?
They did. They were laughing and talking.
Were they actually were the people there actually trying to scare them or no?
No.
Yeah,
no, they weren't.
It's little kids.
But we took them on a hayride. We put them on pony rides. I didn't have any pictures of the pony rides, but I mean, we took them all over that place. They loved it. So it's a great place to take kids. And we, as the big people, did enjoy it, but it was good for the kids too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to, when you take kids to the pumpkin patch, you know, in the hay rides, obviously you get enjoyment by making sure that they're having fun. So
it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What have you been doing?
Oh, you know me, this and that, nothing.
You've been watching the cars?
Pretty much, yeah. I've been watching these baseball playoffs, and I'm sure everybody is bummed this week about what happened to the Redbirds. Obviously, it was just wow. I mean, there's people, they look at it as a travesty. But you got to think about this. Think about the ride that the Cardinals had this whole year. Nobody expected them with the new manager, the offseason acquisitions, that they didn't think they were going to go this far. And the fact that, you know, that they changed up the playoff format, that had it been last year's format, they wouldn't even made the postseason. So they got in, and everybody thought the Cardinals were going to make another great run. And they did a phenomenal job. The problem is when you're up 3-1 in the NLCS, all you got to do is win one game, and you're thinking, oh, we got this in the bag.
Yeah.
But when you can only produce one run in the last 3 games, you're not going to win your chances aren't very good when you don't do that. But phenomenal job to the Cardinals. You know, they can't hang their heads down. You know, they got to be proud of what they've done. Unfortunately, give it up to the Giants. Yeah. I don't know if they choked. I mean, it was just the Giants are phenomenal. I mean, they're resilient. I mean, they were down 0-2 in the last series, and then they came back and won that. And then they were down 3-1, and they came back and won that. So
they gave us a little excitement. They did give the city some excitement.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said,
it would have been great to see another World Series here, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So anyway. We want to move on to some other things. Obviously, you know, Election Day is drawing closer and closer, and we want to let you know about this Souls to the Polls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big push to get people who go, you know, those who go to church.
To the polls.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you know, if your reason for not getting to the poll is that you don't have a ride or, you know, it's just whatever has to do with, you know, inconvenience, they will actually escort you to the polls. So all you have to do is contact Souls to the Polls.
Yeah, Tracy Blackman of the Christ the King United Church of Christ in St. Louis County. They think they already registered about 30,000 people, and what they plan on doing is getting those folks who they had registered, not all 30,000, but as many as they possibly can, driving them to and from, you know, the polling stations and making sure they go out to vote. They don't care who you vote for. Yeah. Most importantly, they care that you go out and vote and make sure. Yeah, you definitely have to exercise your right to vote.
Use your voice.
Yeah,
it counts.
And lastly, we want to tell you about, because we'd like to do the Slate Jobs. We want to encourage you to go on to slatejobs.com, the website. There's some really good jobs out there, and there's a couple, I believe, that we have listed. There's one for an airport police officer. There's another one for a licensed practitioner nurse, and I believe there's another one for a warehouse attendant driver. You just log on to jobs.mo.gov. Again, jobs.mo.gov, and you can see all the jobs that they have out there. I mean, they list hundreds of jobs every week. So you definitely want to go out there if you're looking for one, and you know, find out if you qualify for any of these jobs. You don't need to have necessarily a master's degree or a PhD. Some of these jobs just require a high school, you know, diploma, and you can go out there and check it out, and hopefully you can find something that you qualify for and you're interested in.
And I just want to remind people before we go to break that, you know, these are good jobs. I think that people have the misconception, we talk about this all the time, that these are nothing other than menial jobs, and nothing wrong with those too as well. You're right. We need to fill those slots, but these are also really good, like mid-level jobs that are paying, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. Companies are looking for good, qualified people. So check it out. Don't underestimate the power of Slate and the jobs that you can find on their website.
Yeah. All right, we got to take our first break here on St. Louis Presents, but when we return, we're going to be joined by Reverend Richard Jackson, so stay with us. This is St. Louis Presents on STL TV. Tomatoes in our squash, by the way, as you see over there.
And singing a little less conversation.
That's what you couldn't think of.
A little less conversation by Elvis.
A little less conversation sounds like the remix to our intro to our show. All right, we're joined by now our first guest, Reverend Richard Jackson, the founder of Manasseh Ministry. Thank you for joining us. And for those who don't know what Manasseh Ministry is and what it does, tell us a little bit about it.
Manasseh Ministry is so we provide social services to families who have loved ones incarcerated. And then we also provide services to those in need. And we do it under several programs. We have a school uniform program, we have a mentoring program, we have a reentry program, we have a prison program, we have a coaching program, we have a culture class program. And then we have events such as Women with Mates in Prison, and then we have Ex-MAD, and we're moving toward the program, hopefully to be a play called Silent Voices Speak, which is about children who have not had the opportunity to really express their disappointment, their frustration, and their pain about their mother and father, whoever has been incarcerated, and what that has done to them socially, academically, financially, and economically speaking. So in that area, we're looking at that strongly.
How did you guys decide to take the approach where you want to focus, you know, or put a good portion to what you guys do to the community on those who have been incarcerated?
Well, for one, I'm an ex-offender myself, and I really can't take credit for having an idea. It was just something that God gave me, and he spoke to me about it. He gave me the name, and so I was hesitant to do it, yet I went on. So it really started, I started doing my paperwork when I was incarcerated. So I knew whenever I would get out, I would always be doing this. Only way I would return to prison if I had a contract. I would not be coming as a resident. I would only be coming to visit somebody, or I'd be teaching classes, which is what we're doing now. So I worked it. I did not know the components that Manasseh Ministry was going to spread out to. I just knew the tree, but I didn't know the branches. And they began to go up. They began to spread out like that, such as providing close to $300,000 worth of in-kind giving to the communities that last year supported almost 5,000 families or 5,000 persons. And they come from the program called Goods 360, which is formerly Gifts in Kind. So we're partnering with them, and we receive things from Bed Bath & Beyond, William & Sonoma, as well as guests.
You know, one of the things we were talking about in the green room is that, you know, basically what I heard just now, first of all, is that you're really making sure that families stay united, that families stay nurtured, and that family unit is healthy whether or not you have a loved one who's incarcerated.
Yes, we're very strong on I'm very strong on healthy families. I'm very strong on relationships. I'm very strong on marriages. Some marriages don't work, and that's a reality. But it does not mean that because you all you all did not work in a relationship that you cannot treat each other like human beings. But yes, we're very strong about that. And we talk to women, especially with the Women with Mates in Prison Fellowship event, about using sound judgment. If he has 15 years, it is most likely, and you're not married to him, that he probably will not be coming out soon, like 2 or 3 years. Right. So you might want to revisit your priorities, because he's not going to be sending you money out as much as he's going to be sending envelopes out to get money in. Right. And sometimes they receive it and sometimes they don't. There's blind faith, and some people believe that, well, I'll stay with him. But the reality is, ma'am, that you have to work hard.
Let me ask you this. What do you think is the most difficult transition for those who come out of prison that you have to have them adjust to?
Well, well, it's several. If you haven't prepared yourself and you don't have your ID, you don't have what you need, that's a part of it. Making the readjustment back into the family, believing that when you left in 2009, that day that you left, that's where most incarcerated persons' minds are. So they go right back into thinking that we have a great relationship. And the reality is, no, it is not. I'm still bruised, I'm still hurt, and I'm still standoffish. That's one. The employment piece. Some don't want to work. Some say they do, but they don't. Work is work. A career is different. Working is working. You have to really want to work. When I came out, I worked 2 jobs. I worked at Steak and Shake, and then I worked at McDonald's. I left McDonald's and worked at Steak and Shake. I got hired for McDonald's. I lost McDonald's. They said I was working too many jobs. I said, you need to give me more pay. They said, sir, we're not going to pay you for working 3 jobs. I mean, I was cleaning the tables, I was cleaning the dishes, and I was cleaning the restroom, and I felt that you should give me more pay for that. And so they said, no, we're not going to give you more pay. What we're going to give you is your last pay. But I worked. I believe that you have to work, knowing inside that if you got a vision, it's not your parking space. You only double park. That's in anything. You only double park to wherever you are. And whenever you double park, you have to move because there's a person behind you blowing the horn. But if it's your parking space, like Manasseh is my parking space, I'll always be doing it. So a lot of people don't have visions. They don't come out with it, and their minds are locked into where they left off.
So you say it's more of a vision thing that you have to program to have them have a vision.
And you have to want to see yourself, understanding that there is a component. There are more components in life beside you and your own special interests. You have children that you need to take care of. There are people that are really caring about you. So you just can't lock yourself into your pain and your misery or your bad mistakes and forget about those children.
And that's what your classes do for them.
Yeah, yes, we do. We make them face reality. You stole that. You did the robbery. You sold the dope. Don't blame it on nobody else. Don't blame it on no spirit. Don't blame it on nobody else but you. I know about circumstances, but I'm talking about you made a quality decision. I'm going to give my money. If they made a quality decision, we going to lock you up.
Well, I would think that there's also the having to deal with their self-esteem. You have to rebuild that. You have to rebuild the sense of, as you said, purpose, and rebuild the sense of, you know, where they stand.
You know, for me, I don't know. My self-esteem was always high. I always felt good about myself, and I'm like, no. When I was incarcerated, they said, who you think you are? You think you're out of prison? No, I didn't think I was out of prison because I saw myself out on the street. So if I believe I need a permission card from you to be affirmed every morning, yeah, my self-esteem is messed up.
Right.
But if I don't believe in myself and I don't tap into the God of the universe, and I don't tap into that God, that power source, yeah, I'll always need to get a permission card from you.
Right.
But once I know who I am, I'm good.
So how can folks contact you if they know somebody who might need your kind of guidance just coming out of prison? Well,
we're located at 1400 North Salisbury, St. Louis, Missouri, 63107. The phone number is 314-732-7340. And I might add that we work with other organizations such as Youth and Adult Program, we work with Positive Alternative, and we work with Gateway to Foundation. So all of us work together in the reentry process to make sure that individuals who are really serious about making that transition back into society, it won't be smooth all the time, but at least we'll be there to help you.
Well, we want to thank you very much for coming on, and
Thank
we
you
definitely
so very
learned a
much.
lot. Appreciate you, Reverend Jackson.
Thank you.
We got to take another break here on St. Louis Presents, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Heidi Burkemper. April's going to talk to her.
Yes.
She's excited.
I am excited because we're going to talk about businesses.
Okay, stay with us.
Welcome to St. Louis Presents. We are back. We had a great chat with the Reverend, and we are now here to talk about getting started in business with Heidi Burkemper. I apologize. For some reason, it just like Elvis, a little less conversation, flew out of my head. Not like I don't know that. So welcome. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really
you know, I'm
appreciate
excited because we were talking in the green room about, you know, when people are looking at building a business, we always think that it takes, you know, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands and big, thick business plans and all that kind of stuff. And there are actually easier, less expensive, and still serious ways to get into business.
Absolutely. I'm calling it the home-based entrepreneur. It's kind of my new tagline.
Okay.
And, you know, it's interesting. Network marketing is one of my passions, really, is to clear up the misconceptions surrounding it. And there's a lot of them. You know, this is not today the network marketing of our parents' generation where you're peddling goods out of your garage to your friends and family. This is a real, true, significant business opportunity where, and I don't know if you know this, but there are more 6- and 7-figure income earners through the industry of network marketing than any other industry.
I didn't know that.
Pretty
I
cool.
do know that even Robert Kiyosaki, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Absolutely.
I know he's a big advocate. And as a business coach, I mean, I do get the business model. It
Right.
is one of the few true residual and passive income models, meaning that, if y'all aren't familiar, residual meaning that you do the work once and you get paid over and over and over, and passive meaning you do the work, you get paid, and you do nothing further, but you still continue to get paid.
Correct.
It really doesn't exist anywhere else.
You know, it really doesn't. And you know that, I think the American dream, right, is to have this hope of having life get better and having more time. You know, our time is our most important commodity, right?
Right.
And so, you know, I just read an article in the USA Today, came out 2 days ago, and they were talking about how, especially in this economy, people are working harder and earning less.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of frustration, and network marketing gives you an opportunity to take the reins of your own life
Exactly. I like the way you put that. So now, let's say, because there are people out there that think that network marketing, MLM, all that, it has that old connotation if you're not familiar with the realities of how profitable it can be. So what are some of the top things that people should look for if they're going to consider network marketing in a new way?
Well, that's a great question because, you know, there's a lot of good companies out there, a lot of great network marketing companies. But there's some very important things to look for. Number one is timing. Paul Zane Pilzer, he's very, very renowned world economist. He was economic advisor to presidents. He talks about the two new emerging industries, wellness and network marketing.
Okay.
And if you can find a company that combines those two, he calls it the perfect storm.
Wow.
So, you know, it's interesting. One thing you really have to look for, and I was very diligent in looking for this when researching and doing my due diligence on Isogenics, the company I aligned with, is you want to make sure and join a company that's at least 10 years old.
Really? Okay.
And, you know, people come to me because I've been in the industry and they say, oh, I found this brand new, the startup of the startup, the pre-launch of the pre-launch, and immediately I'm not interested. You know, 10 years, it's a benchmark. This is an interesting statistic. Since 1956, when Forrest Shackley of the Shackley Corporation, he opened his doors in 1956, fast forwarding to 2012, there have been over 50,000 companies, network marketing companies that have opened their doors. Of those, give or take 50 have lived to see their 10th anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. So 1/100%, just about.
Right.
So you want to find a company that has tenure. They've gotten their feet wet. They know how to do what they do. They do it well. Now, in my research in this kind of marketing, I find that you also have to really have a great product. You can't have a shabby product. You have to have proven. You have to do your due diligence, as you said so well, and you have to make sure that the product is good and it's effective. Yeah.
No question. A product that's people get results,
right?
And people want to share. You know, I started with Isogenics 12 months ago,
wow.
And my team has mushroomed from a team of one, me, to a team of over 2,200 people.
Wow!
And you know what? I'm not that good. I'm not. I wish I were, but the products are so good.
Right.
The products are so amazing that people get on them and they want to tell their friends, or their friends will ask them,
right.
What are you doing?
Right.
How'd you lose that weight?
Right, right.
You know, why do you look so great? So, you know, the product needs to work.
Right. So if you get into a conversation and somebody says, oh my gosh, wait till you see the vacations they give you and the bonuses and look at my jewelry I won, that might not be the kind of business you want to align with. You want to make sure that it has good product.
Substance.
It has substance, it has tenure, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, but also has a good infrastructure because you have to depend on their systems. And again, as a business coach, I'm all about systems. You got to have reliable, duplicatable systems. And so you want to find a company that has that, right? Because you've got to train your team members.
You so get it.
Yeah.
And you know, this is about leveraging.
Exactly.
You've got to be a leader. You've got to be passionate. You've got to wake up every single day with a mission and a purpose to change the world. And I really feel that.
Yeah.
You know, I've aligned myself with a company whose mission is to impact world health and free people from physical and financial pain.
Excellent. I like that.
Pretty cool.
I like that. I do like that.
It's not. It's an easy thing to stand behind. And when I see people being able to, you know, in this economic crisis, we have an economic crisis and we have a health crisis.
Right. Right.
This provides a solution to both.
Right. Absolutely. Now, how can people learn more from you if they want to learn more about what, you know, the network marketing world?
Well, they can email me.
Okay.
And we have a CD here, and I love the name of it. How to Get Fit feel fabulous, and become financially free.
I love that.
Does that sound good?
Yeah. So I just want to give your website before we go to break. So
That
you
sounds
want
great.
the
And
website or the
also,
email?
You know what? I set up a new email to make
Okay.
it really simple for the listeners, and it's getfreecd@gmail.com.
All right, getfreecd@gmail.com. Very smart. See, you got a marketing mind. I love that. Heidi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back with more of St. Louis Presents.
We are back in the kitchen where we usually start the show. Again, talking more about that squash. Yes, yes, yes. And we got some apples for decorations there too. But we are joined by Terri Roberts at Adelines Kitchen. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. What I'm going to make today is show people how easy it is to do spaghetti squash. So I want to do a real light sauce. I have olive oil in this pan. I'm going to throw in whole cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. I've got grape ones with me now. Throw them if you want to cut them. You can cut them. I didn't want to take the time.
I have a quick question. So the difference between a cherry tomato and a grape tomato, the grape tomatoes are oblong and the cherries are
smaller.
round.
And smaller too.
See, how about
yes.
that?
How about that?
See?
Yes, I like them.
I still wouldn't be able to tell the difference though.
Oh, you will if they're next to each other.
Yeah.
And then I have some grilled green beans I'm going to throw
They
in
look
here.
so pretty too, those green beans.
This,
do.
at Adelines, we do a lot of grilling. We do a lot of healthy, fresh cooking. And so we have grilled vegetables almost every day. Probably our grilled vegetable platter is one of our most popular items, and people just add them to their corporate lunches. But this is a spaghetti squash. I should probably start with the raw one. All you do to make sure you can cook one is poke a bunch of holes in it. This part's kind of fun. You just poke a few holes in it. And then put it in a 350 oven for about a half hour to 40 minutes. You want it to be a little bit soft, like this little guy's a little
That
bit
is
soft.
so much easier than the way
So
I do
much.
it.
Yes.
We were talking about that, right?
Yes.
I have to try and cut it open. It's a really hard melon to cut open, so that
Very
is so
hard.
much easier.
So much.
Poke some holes in it, put it in an oven at 350.
350.
And you
Check
don't have
it.
to do the Bagna Maria. You don't have to put the water, right? You just
Not at
oh,
all. Don't
look
mess
at
with the water.
that.
So you cut it open. See, even this is not real easy to get open. And then just cut straight down here.
Oh, your
and this
way
is
is
the
so much easier.
So much. I do the same thing with butternut squash too. I'll just
That's another one that's hard to cut.
Yes. The only time I'll ever cut that one is if I want to like saute it or have a specific reason. But this is the fun part to this one. Let's get this. It's got the seeds in it, so we'll go ahead and kind of get them out of here. Okay, I'm just gonna have to use my hands.
Go ahead.
Dig in. We saw you wash them.
I did a couple times. I washed my hands all day long. But you just want to
Isn't that
kind of
cool
get that
looking?
out,
And then, yeah, and it just,
and then it turns into spaghetti for you.
look how simple that is.
It's very simple. And then I just take it like this, and when you've cooked it, I might have overcooked this guy a little bit. When you cook it, you just go ahead and pull it all out.
And then you
you've
see
got
how that
spaghetti
just looks,
squash.
it looks
This is
just
like
like,
noodles.
looks like
Spaghetti.
noodles.
Yes.
It looks like angel hair is what it looks like.
Exactly.
It's great.
So we just go along and kind of take it with a fork and get it all
that?
out of here. Very simple.
Now the sauce that you're making, is that going to be a tomato-y sauce? Because I saw you
Tomato-
put all the other vegetables in.
I just put in what I have around.
Okay.
And I think, you know, the more the better. So let me get this out of here. So I just took a little bit of, like I showed you, the fresh cherry tomatoes. I took some grilled green beans. I have some squash that was grilled. And then I think I might throw these bell peppers in there too. I've got a couple of these guys hidden under here. And that's all I'm going to do with it for a few minutes. Then I'm going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar to it, and that's it.
Now, and these are all veggies that are in season right now. These are fall
Yes,
veggies.
fall veggies. And you see I don't have any asparagus or anything out here.
Right.
It costs a fortune, and it's not always very good. Same thing with fruit. I try not to do the fruit out of season, so that's why we have apples.
And it is healthy. You know, you were saying that you do all the healthy
Healthy
items, and you do a lot of corporate
We do a lot
catering.
of corporate catering. We also do quite a bit of in-home catering, social catering. We do a lot of appetizers. I love to make appetizers. So we do a lot of like Roquefort grapes. My new favorite one, in fact, we're doing this on a corporate lunch today, is a bacon, blue cheese, and grape pizza, and that's a real good one. And then a couple, she just wanted something different. It's a board meeting, and they were, they wanted something besides sandwiches, and they didn't want a regular pizza. So then we did a couple of them with spinach and sun-dried tomatoes and feta cheese and pesto. We make our own pesto. I did bring pesto. I could add that to the sauce if I wanted to. Basically, you can put whatever you want in there.
Now, for those who aren't, familiar with eating like a spaghetti squash, I mean, do you give a way to like entice them to try to give it a try? I mean, because like I have never had spaghetti squash before.
Yes.
Like, how do you convince people like this is something you should eat? Because obviously it's healthy, but more importantly, it tastes good.
Basically, we put some good cheese on it. Cheese
That's
sells
what you said
a lot.
earlier. You said cheese always does the spot.
Yes, like today we're going to put feta cheese on this. And then other times we might put blue cheese on it. I might get a good Asiago. Just anything that sounds like it would taste good with it. Parmesan's another good one. I would grate it if I was serving it on this.
Now, what is your inspiration? How did you get started? How did you decide that that you were just going to go invent all these healthy recipes?
I didn't go out of my way to go healthy. I just always have eaten a little bit on the healthier side. I was a weird kid. I liked fruit. I didn't care for soda. So I just have always cooked lighter and healthier. And when I started out of my home like 28 years ago or so. Wow. And it just was a hobby, and it just kind of got out of control. So now I work a lot more hours than out of my home, now that I have my own location in Old St. Charles. So that's what I'm finding the market's looking for. So I think I came along at the right time to get into the corporate catering. When I used to do more social, we did all the fattening stuff. Now I'm lightening it up a bit. Not that we still don't. We're still going to do the rolled phyllo and things like that. But that's how it pretty much started, the hobby.
And I think in the corporate world, they want to promote wellness, lighter fare, keeps you alert in your meetings, you know what I'm saying? So it really does fit in well when you're doing a corporate event, whether, like you said, it's a board meeting or a luncheon or something like that, or a staff meeting.
Absolutely, and we're finding more and more people with different allergies.
Oh,
so
true.
This is something you can have. If you are on a low carb diet, if you're gluten intolerant. So we do a lot with that for that reason, because there's quite a few of those. So this has a lot of flavor to it, and you don't feel deprived.
What's the biggest surprise you get when people try this dish?
They're surprised that it's squash and how good that it is. And I'm planning on, we've got one group, and we serve them 3 times a week. They're a healthy group. They're an IT group. I think they're kind of held hostage. They're not allowed to leave for lunch. So they want healthy, and that is one of the specific things. So we bring them things like this, and they love the spaghetti squash.
You said you started out in your own kitchen 28 years ago, but how did you come up with Adelines Kitchen?
I came up with that because I wanted to move to Old St. Charles, and I knew that if I ever moved it out of my home, that I would name it after my grandmother, because she liked to cook. And I remember we were little, she would make tea and toast and make a ceremony out of it. We were little.
Nice.
Yes. And she would garnish plates, and so I always was into it from that.
See, the beauty of food. I talk about that all the time.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Anche l'occhio vuole la sua parte.
Here she goes with the
Yes,
Italian.
because we say in Italian, even the eye wants to participate. Like the eye, you got to make it beautiful. So
I know you said you do catering events, but how can folks contact you real quick?
Real quick, you can call us at 636-896-9000. You are welcome to go to our website, which is www.adelineskitchen.com. You can Google us. That's probably the easiest. Awesome. That's what I do.
Well, we cannot absolutely wait to try this dish at the end of the show. We got to take another quick break here, though. But when we come back, we're going to be joined by a local St. Louis filmmaker who's, this is just a phenomenal feature that he's got coming to the St. Louis Film Festival. So stay with us.
Yo, what up? It's your man Nelly, and you watching STL TV. Experience the Lou all day.
All right, you may not have known this about the city of St. Louis, but it is home to one of the largest international film festivals in the Midwest, and it takes place between November 8th and the 18th of this year. SLIF. St. Louis International Film Festival, November 8th through the 18th, and it's going to be at High Point Theater, Tivoli, Plaza Frontenac Seminar, and Webster University's Winifred Moore Auditorium, also Washington's Brown Hall Auditorium. And speaking of which,
speaking of Brown Hall,
we have one of the local filmmaker, Mike Gualdoni, who has just recently completed a film on the local St. Louis homeless community. And interesting, you showed us a clip that looks like a phenomenal movie that you got to put together. Just tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, it's basically the story of mainly focusing on Dignity Harbor, one of the 3 camps down there. Their story surviving the winter of 2010 and their entirety until they got booted out by the city.
Yeah, and 2010, I mean, all winters are cold, but 2010 was one of the colder winters that we've had in recent years.
Yeah, that was a rough one, and they fared pretty well for being homeless.
What was your inspiration on deciding to focus on the homeless?
Well, started out back then. I went through a pretty traumatic experience, and I was going downhill. And a friend of mine who was doing a newspaper article for the Beacon took me down there, and I basically saw it, and I was like, "What am I crying about? I mean, I got nothing to be bummed about. I mean, there's always people worse off." And it also just floored me that there was this homeless community, basically a Hooverville, working and living down there. And I spent about a month hanging out with these guys and listening to their stories. And but about a month from when I first met them, I proposed the idea to OG, the leader of the camp, if I could do a documentary on this.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Let's do it." And the rest is history.
And you gave voice to what it is that they live through day in and day out, which I think is really beautiful. And when we saw the clip and when we talked in the green room, some of it is actually quite organized. There's a society that existed inside that community. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. And then in Dignity Harbor's case, they were really organized, really well-greased machine compared to Hopeville and Sparta, who was more chaotic, more anarchy. And they suffered those consequences with violence and police intervention and all that. But Dignity Harbor, I mean, they had people donating supplies, everything that they would need. They had lumber companies that would come and give them these logs to chop up and sell for firewood, and they would be able to live off of that.
Yeah, and they were actually doing a lot of jobs that you see people do, hands-on jobs, like blue-collar jobs like construction in that area, in that community, and you would think like, oh my goodness, these people actually, they have skills that they can do it. They're just not really applying themselves just yet.
Absolutely. Well, there were some cases of that, and then there was they wanted to work and they could work, but the economy, there's not a lot of jobs, and there was winter, so it was kind of off-season, and the fact that the companies will usually hire younger, more able-bodied workers that they can pay less, and then these guys know a lot and they need more money because they've got more experience, so it's a little tougher for them to find work that way, so stuff like that.
What do you think was the thing that astonished you most in the process, whether it was about Dignity Harbor itself or just in the making of the film to get the story out?
Well, the story for me, going into it, I mean, I knew I wanted to do this. I wanted to tell this story, but it was such a daunting thing. Like, what's the story? How am I going to tell the story? What's going to happen? But what was so unbelievable to me, and I guess it's kind of obvious, it's just everything happened. I mean, life happened, and the story just kind of unfolded in front of us. And we were there on a couple occasions, luckily on some of the key days that big events were happening. I was down there when the city was bulldozing the camp, and it was a very intense, very, very emotional thing for a lot of the folks, because I mean, these people were watching their homes being destroyed.
I believe we do have a clip of your film, so we're going to take a look at it right now.
The warning people, they will inherit the earth. And one reason being is they know how to survive. When the shit hits the fan, a lot of these poor folks that you're filming, they'll be able to survive.
Right now, it's Christmas. Everybody's spirits are just nice and high. It kind of makes you feel like home, even though we're stuck here in a homeless camp.
Last winter, 30 below zero, we didn't have no buildings. We had tents. This winter, it's gonna be colder. And it's gonna be a whole lot harder. So I've got a lot of huts to build before winter, during winter. So I'll probably put 40 to 50 of them up. No building permit. I ain't getting one and won't get one. And that's not being cocky, I'll sit on the floodplain.
But how do you say all the publicity of Christmas is going to leave, and it's going to be back to the ho-hum way of life of just trying to exist?
Like, we got a guy that lives here, he gets $650 a month. He's down there in the view. He's gone the first week of the month. When he comes back, he's always broke and then living off our resources. Now, would I be wrong if I tell him he's got to go?
I said, okay, I understand you hit him. I understand he kissed you. I understand he made me mad, but there's no reason for there to be a puddle of blood sitting up in ZX's parking lot.
They got 4 or 5 drug dealers down there. Meth, heroin, crack, cocaine, weed, and whatever else you need. But they don't see nothing wrong with it.
And, you know, if individuals choose to do things that result in some hazard to themselves or other people, then, you know, the city is going to be forced into a position to do something to rectify that.
I can actually do more damn good out here than I can if I was involved in church. People come in, we help them, and this is one big family. If you believe in God and everything, this is what God has meant us to do.
They call us, or they don't call us the homeless at this camp, they call us urban campers. I can't understand, but hey, we're not all that, but they think we are. It's true, we're just trying to make it.
Wow. What do you think of
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Seriously.
I want to see it. I can't wait to see it.
No. So we saw a guy walking out on the ledge, as Rob pointed out. What was the significance of that?
Well, that was Wildcat. He wasn't homeless, but he was one that plugged into the camp a lot. He said he's also a very good. He's a spiritual advisor of mine, I'd like to say. But for that day, he was showing us an oil leak into the Mississippi that was just happening. We walked to the place, walking distance from the camps. And he showed us, and we walked over this ledge, and there's oil or fuel or something pumping into the Mississippi. Wow. And he says this has been going on for 2 or 3 years at least. So I saw this, and I called the EPA, the Coast Guard, and I actually went and dropped off video evidence of it to the Coast Guard. And he looked at me, he says, "All right, we're gonna take care of this." Wow. But to this day, that was 2 years ago.
Holy cow.
To this day, it's still leaking. And I've been meaning to put together a new video, but man, I've got no time, so it's on my list.
I want to ask you about this. I mean, overall, what do you want people to get out of this film? I mean, I know after you do something like this, you want it to have meaning. What do you want folks to have when they leave after watching this film?
I feel like it's a dark, but it's an important time in St. Louis history, and I was happy to be able to capture that and portray it. And I'd like people to better understand homeless people, because they've spent a lot of their time just being looked down on or ignored, and people say, oh, they're just crazy, or they're lazy, but they're just regular people, especially nowadays. A lot of people are out of work and down on their luck. I mean, homeless people are people too, and I think that's an important message to get out of this.
You said your film's going to be playing at the Washington University's Brown Hall Auditorium, and when's the first time they can see it?
It's 6:30, November 16th, Friday. 6:30,
November 16th. And if they want to reach you or contact you, how can they do that to get tickets or something like that?
You can find me on Tumblr, Mike the I, spelled EYE.tumblr.com. Or my email is mikegualdoni@gmail.com. I'm sure it'll be all up on your internet space.
It'll be on our website. Yeah, well, thank you for coming on, man. It looks great. I can't wait to watch the whole thing and learn a lot about what goes on in St. Louis that folks really don't know about.
Thanks for having me, bringing me to the table.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for telling the story.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we're going to be back with Terri Roberts, and we're going to try some of that spaghetti squash. She's got it cooking on the grill over there. So
I know.
We hear it sizzling.
Smell-o-vision.
Love your show. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the show. I watch the show every night. You have great guests on there. I enjoy watching the best of the STL.
I love the show, and I love to watch it all the time. Thank you very much.
I just recently started watching the program, and so far I have really enjoyed it. It's wonderful what you do with the kids or anything, and putting the Fabulous on the map.
Hi, I really like your show.
Hi, I love your show. I watch it every day, every time you come on. I love your show.
All right, the moment of truth is almost arrived, but before we go and try that food, we want to remind you guys, if you always want to check us out on Twitter or Facebook, make sure you log on to our account. That is at STL TV channel for our Twitter account, and always on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/STLTV, and you can see some of the shows and some of the clips and the pictures, all of April's pictures, you know, because April's been everywhere, Mexico and Michigan and pumpkin patches. Where are you going now?
I'm headed to New York, and then I'm home for a little bit, and then I'm preparing for my trip to Dubai.
Dubai, that's right. Ooh. I so hate April right now. So
you come. You want to carry my gear?
Hey,
production assistant.
Hey, I'll do that if it gets me to Dubai.
Scott might feel out of place though. He was hoping to be my production assistant.
Oh, that's right. He may not like that. He might hate me.
That's all right. I'll take 2 good-looking men as my production assistants. I can handle that.
Okay. Hey, that's what are you doing in New York anyway?
A workshop. I'm doing a training.
So it's gonna be pictures from Times Square and all that stuff.
Rockefeller Center.
Pictures of Times Square. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring on Terri Roberts because it looks like these plates are prepared. So Terri, come on up. Wow, this looks delicious.
Oh, how gorgeous! Oh, how gorgeous!
Like
See,
these?
look at that.
Look
it looks like spaghetti.
It looks like
noodles.
Like I wouldn't. This looks exactly like spaghetti. You know, you would not have any idea that this is squash. Now, what did you put? You put a little cheese and
a little feta cheese on it.
Feta cheese on it, and this is like. Now, if somebody's making this whole thing at home, how long would it take them, start to finish?
Oh, 20 minutes.
20
well,
minutes.
I'm sorry, except for the squash.
Except for the squash, it takes 30 minutes to.
Yes.
But after that, once the squash is done.
Oh, do it the day before. Make your squash the day before. Have it all done. Yes.
See, even you can do it.
And you can have squashes leftovers. I mean, it stores well. Like after you cook it, it's just like any other thing, right?
Mm-hmm. And you can freeze it too. You can actually freeze it in this sauce if you want. Now, I wouldn't serve it to company, but if you want to reheat it for yourself, it's fine.
Yeah. See, even you could prepare this and really impress. You could impress.
You know what? Now that I know how easy it is to make, I can add a chef to my repertoire amongst many talents that I have.
See?
Yes.
And you look really sexy, just like throwing all that stuff in the pan, a little saute.
Right,
See?
right. So tell us again, folks, if they want to contact you or want to have their company be catered by you.
Adelines Kitchen. We're in Old St. Charles, but we are so centrally located. We're right by all the highways. So when we deliver, you can reach us at 636-896-9000, or you can email us either way, and my email address is on our website. Yay. And Google us. I Google everything. I Google how to get
how large of events do you do? Does any size, does it matter?
Oh, no, it doesn't matter. We're doing one in a couple weeks for about 800 people, and they want 3 different chilies. And we do make our own chilies. Yes.
Wow.
We're doing a chicken and a beef, and I like in my chili, I like to put actual chuck roast and pork steaks. It's really good.
Now, is there a spicy one in there? Because Rob loves spicy.
That one is.
I'm all about the spicy. I'm all about the spicy food.
Good.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and dine and enjoy this meal. We want to thank you guys all for watching the show, and make sure you tune to us next week. We're gonna have more of the city you call home with more guests, more information, more love, and we encourage you to remember voting is coming up soon.
Yes.
Make sure you go out and vote on November 6th, Election Day. And for those of you on the other side of the bridge who can vote early, go ahead and do that as well. So for April, I'm Rob. Terri, thank all our guests for coming on the show. We are going to eat. I gotta go. I'm done talking. I'm gonna try this food right now. This is what I do. This is what I do.